Down in the deep, when your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in.
Hello everyone, welcome to the first ever series of the Go Maths Grade 4. Today we'll be talking about Topic 1, Lesson 1, Place Values and Patterns. Before we get started with today's video, comment down below what's your favorite color. And before we also start with the video, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and get ready for the best ever series of the Go Maths Grade 4. So, let's get started. What's the essential question for today? How can you describe the relationship between place value positions? Take a minute and try to answer this question and comment down below. Whoever gets closer to the answer will get a shout out in my next video. So I'll leave this to you guys. What do you think the answer would be? After this video is over, you should have an idea what the answer should be. So let's get started. Investigate. Materials is a base 10 block. You can use base 10 blocks to understand the relationships among place value positions. Use a large cube for 1,000, a flat for 100, a long for 10, and a small cube for 1. So we have 1,000, which is a large cube. That is huge, am I right? And then we have a flat for 100, a long for a 10, and a small for a 1. Complete the comparisons below to describe the relationship from one place value position to the next value position. So let's look at this. Look at the long and compare it to the small cube. The long is blank times as much as the small cube. Look at the long. We have the long right here and compare it to the small cube. Oh, okay, that's what we're comparing. The long is blank times as much as the small cube. If you know the answer right now, pause the video. Try to answer this question, and once you're done answering this question, unpause the video, and we'll go over it together. Do you know your answer? Well, if you do, let's solve it together. It's saying look at the long and compare to the small cube. The long is blank times as much as the small cube. How would you solve this question? Well, how much of a small cube would it take to make a long? How much of this, a small cube, would it take to make this a long? Oops. Hold up, let's make that a little better circle. It's not a good circle. It looks totally weird. Let's try that again. How much of this? Okay, that's just bad. Well, forget about that. But how much of a small cube would it take to make one long? Well, it would take 10 small cubes, 10 of these small little cubes to make one long. Because if we do one little cube right here, I'm just going to do a 2D shape of it, okay? Because let's try to draw a cube. I'm drawing very bad cubes. Let's say that's my cube, right? Of a small cube. It would take 10 of those. Ow. Okay, that's my arrow. 10 of those. 10. That's a really bad 0. But let's forget about that 0. It would take 10 of those to make one long. This small cube, look over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 small cubes it would take to make one long. If you don't want to do it that way, right, to look at the model, you can also look at these numbers. How much is 1 times what equals 10? So 1 times 10 equals 10. And if we want to sew one small cube, it would take 10 of those to make one long. So the answer would be the long is 10 times as much as a small cube. Now we know the answer to the first one. Now let's do the second one. Pause the video again. Try to figure out the answer to this question. Unpause when you're ready. Did you unpause? Well, I guess you did because I'm talking to you. Let's get to the second one. Look at the flat and compare it to the long. The flat is how much times as much as the long. Well, we're comparing a flat to a long. Okay, Let me first erase this circle. Alright, we erased that circle, bad circle, whatever that was. So we're comparing a flat to a long. A flat is how much times as much as a long. Well, we have a flat right here. So I can ask you, like, if you are not able to get the answer, how many of a longs would it take to make one flat? So how much of this one long, man, these are really bad circles. How much of these one long will it take to make one of this huge flat? Do you think you got the answer now? If you think you got the answer now, and you didn't know before, try to figure out the answer and write it down. Now that you think you got your answer and you know it's the answer for sure, let's solve it. So like I said, how many of this long would it take to make one flat? Well, it would take 10 of these longs to make one flat. We can also do, if we do 10 into 10, it would make 100. Excuse the circles, please. They're really bad. I can't make proper circles with a mouse right here. Alright, and it's a wired mouse of all of them. Okay, so it would take 10 times as much. It would make 100. So one long, it would take 10 of these longs to make one flat. Because this has 10, right? And if we look here, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 small cubes, and that makes one long. So if we have 10 small cubes that makes one long, then we would have 10 longs to make one flat. And that would be 100 small cubes, right? Because this is 1 cube, this is 10 cubes, and this is 100 small cubes. That's a lot. Do you have 100 small cubes in your house? Well, I used to, but I threw them all away because I'm bored of small cubes. Alright, so what do you think the answer was? Yes, it was 10. You guys are all right. If you got the answer right, pat yourself on the back. You know the answer. Now let's go to the third question. Look at the large cube and compare it to the flat. The large cube is blank times as much as the flat. The large cube, oh my god, that's a huge large cube. And we're comparing it to the flat. Man, this is an easy question. We all know this, right? Pause the video. What do you think the answer is? Well, if you paused your video and you got your answer, unpause it, and we got this. I don't know what I'm saying, but let's go with it. So, the large cube is how many times as much as the flat? We have one large cube, and we're comparing it to the flat. Let's remove this 100 circle thing. Okay, we're back. Alright, so, man, these circles are really bad. Let's not talk about circles anymore. I'm getting a headache from circles. Okay, so what was the question? Look at the large cube compared to the flat. The large cube is how much times as much as the flat? Well, how many of a flat would it take to make one large? Well, we can look at the numbers above as well. If one flat has 100 small cubes, what's 100 times what makes 1,000? Pause. If you know your answer, write it down. Now, unpause the video if you know your answer. Did you pause it? I'm not talking. Do you know your answer? Well, let's get started with the answer. Alright, who thinks they got the answer? Raise your hand. If you got the answer, then good job. So, how many of a flat would it take to make one large cube? Well, if we do 100 times 10, what's 100 times 10? If you know the answer, comment down below. Comment. 100 times 10 is what? 1,000. Well, so it would take 10 flats to make one large cube. Nobody has 10 flats to make one large cube. Do you guys have one large cube? I don't. So what would the answer be? Look at the large cube compared to the flat. The large cube is 10 times as much as a flat. Wow, we did it. We did part A. Oh no, now we have to do part B. This can be a little tricky since we were comparing a large cube to a flat, right? We were going from here, we're comparing a small cube, we were comparing to a long. Then now we're comparing long to a flat, and then we're comparing a flat to a long. Now we're going the opposite way. Now we're going to be comparing a flat to a large cube. A flat to a large cube. We're going opposite now. Now we have to compare a large cube, a flat to a large cube. Okay. So, do you guys know the answer to this question? If you do, pause the video and try to figure out your answer. I can show you this question once again. Look at the flat and compare it to this flat and compare it to the large cube. The flat is blank of the large cube. If you know the answer, pause the video. Alright, we're back to the question. You guys already paused the video, right? Now that you've unpaused the video, let's do this question. Look at the flat compared to the large cube. The flat is blank of the large cube. Okay, so now we're going this way. Because before we were going from 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000. Now we're going from 1,000 to 110 to 1. So how would you figure this out? Let's not focus on the model right now. Let's focus on the numbers. 1,000. 1,000 is how much of a 10 of 100. So 100 is how much of 1,000. How would you do this? We would do 1,000 divided by 10. That's a bad 0 and a bad 1. So 1,000 divided by 10 equals how much? We would, oh my god, I can't write today. Alright, 1,000 divided by 10 is equals to how much? Comment down below what do you think the answer is. 1,000 divided by 10. 1,000 divided by 10 is equals to 100. Oh god, okay. It's saying look at the flat and compare it to the large cube. The flat, there's only one of these, right? The flat is 1/10 of the large cube. 1/10. So you guys know fractions, right? We learned in 3rd grade. 1/10 of what's 10? Let me erase this right here so you don't get confused with this. Alright, let's remove this as well and write it again. Okay, so in fractions, 10 by 10 equals 1, right? So if we're looking at this model right here, 1 cube is 1/10 of a long, 1/10, because this is just 1 cube and there's 10 of these small cubes right here. So this is 1/10 of this long cube. Then we go over here. This is 1/10 of a flat. 1/10 of a flat, because there's 10 of these small cubes and there's one long right here. So if there's one long right here, this one long right here is 1/10 of this flat. And same thing over here. So the answer over here would be 1/10. Second question. Look at the long and compare it to the flat. The long is blank of the flat. We just said this, so we are doing 1/10, right? So 1/10 is right here. 1/10 is right here. So look at the long compared to the flat. The long is 1/10 of the flat. So your answer would be 1/10. Now, last question. Look at the small cube and compare it to the long. The small cube right here and compare it to the long. The small cube, like I said before, is 1/10 of a long, because there's 10 of these small cubes. There's one of the small cubes in this, and there's 10 of these small cubes in the long. So the small cube is 1/10 of the long. So this answer is 1/10. Yay, we did part B. Now, before we move on, let's look at the math talk. How many times as much is the flat compared to the small cube? The large cube to the small cube. I'm going to let you guys answer this question as well. Comment down below, what do you think the answer to this question is? Whoever gets the closest answer will also get a shout out. Next question. Alright, we're making connections now. You can use your understanding of place value patterns and of place value chart to write the numbers that are 10 times as much as or 1/10 of a given number. So we have 100,000, 10,000, 1,000, hundreds, tens, ones place. Okay, pause the video right now. Try to figure out the answer to this question right here. Blank is 10 times as much as 300. Okay, so it's saying blank is 10 times as much as 300. Pause the video right now. If you know the answer, pause it, write your answer, and then unpause it once you get your answer. Have you gotten your answer? Well, let's do this. So, blank is 10 times as much as 300. Okay, let's fill out all of this. Alright, let's fill this out. So, 10 times as much as 300. It would be 3,000. Oh my god, I can't write. It would be this over here would be 3,000, because 3,000 is 10 times as much as 300. Because if we do 300 into 10, what would you get? You would get, oh my god, I can't write. Okay, let's just write the answer right here. You would get 3,000. So that's why this answer is 3,000, because 3,000 is 10 times as much as 300. Now for the second one. Blank is 1/10 of 300. 1/10 of 300. Okay, so 300, 1/10 of 300 is what? You got your answer? Well, the answer is 30, because the answer is 30. 30. Because if we do, let's remove this 3,000 that we did, right? We got this was 300 times 10 was 3,000, right? Now let me explain to you why 30 is the answer to this question, if you still didn't understand it. Okay. So we're having 300. And saying 1/10. We can also do 300 divided by 10. 300 divided by 10. 300 divided by 10 is 30. 30 is your answer. That's a weird looking 3. Okay, yeah, I can't do a normal 3. I can't do a normal 3 oh my god. Okay, well, let's just say that's 3. The answer would be 30. 30 is 1/10 of 300. And if we were doing it, if we were starting over here, right, and we were doing 3,000. So what is 1/10 of 3,000? Well, you're right. The answer is 300. 1/10 of 3,000 is 300. Then what is 10 times as much as 3,000? Well, your answer should be what? 30,000. You're right. Correct. I see you got it. Now we have use the steps below to complete the table. Step 1. Write the given number in a place value chart. Okay. Use the place value chart to write a number that is 10 times as much as the given number. Use the place value chart to write a number that, okay, we can do this. Alright, pause the video right now. Write down your answers in your notebook or however you're writing your answer down. And then unpause the video once you got it. You have unpaused the video. Okay, let's solve this. 10, number is 10. 10 times as much as 10. Well, the answer to that is 100. And what is 10? 1/10 of 10. Well, we know the answer is 1. Okay, now let's do 70. 10 times as much as 70. That would be 700. The big old 700. And then 1/10 of 70 is 7. Okay, now here's a tricky part. Because the numbers were double digits, 10 and 70, that's easy. Now we're doing 9,000. This over here, this table will help you try to solve this equation. This table over here. So draw this table out on your own and then fill it out for yourself. This area right here. This will help you figure out your answer for this. So if we were doing 10, right? Over here would be 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and then 100,000. If we were doing 70, then this would be 7, 70, 700, 7,000, 70,000, 700,000. Now we're doing 9,000. 9,000 would be right here in the 1,000s place. 9,000 would be right here. So let's ask ourselves. 10 times as much as 9,000. So this over here, this is 10 times as much as 9,000. If this was, let's make this a 9 for helping us with this equation. So that was 9,000, right? Let's make this a 900, a 90, and then a 9. A 90, 900, 9,000. Now over here, if we have 9,000 over here, then over here it would be 90,000. 90,000 would be here because 9,000 into 10 is what? 90,000. You are absolutely correct. It's 90,000. Now if I can write a good 0. No, I can't. Alright, let's forget about these zeros. You know what? I can't do long numbers like that. Let's just write it. Type it. Alright. So this would be 9,000. 90,000. My bad. Not 9,000. 90,000. And then 1/10 of 9,000 would be, so if we're doing 1/10 of 9,000, so, well, your answer is already shown because I wrote that. So this is 9,000, right? this would be 1/10 of. Oh my god, that's really bad. But that says 1/10 of this right here. So what would be the answer? 900. 900 would be your answer. Oops, 900 would be your answer. Well, that's the table right there. If you got that right, comment down below with a yes, I got that right, or a check mark, or something that says yes, you got that right. Okay, now we have the share and show. Complete the sentence. Alright, let's complete the sentence. 500 is 10 times as much as. 500 is 10 times as much as what? Pause the video right now and then comment your answer down below. I want to know your answer, what you guys got, and tell me the answer. Don't go ahead on this video until you got your answer. Did you get your answer? Well, question. 500 is 10 times as much as. 500 is 10 times as much as what? 50. The answer is 50. Let's do these. Writing the answer, typing the answer. So 500 is 10 times as much as 50. Second question. 20,000 is 1/10 of what? 20,000 is 1/10 of what? You got your answer? Well, if you got your answer, tell me what the answer is. Well, you are correct. The answer is 200,000. 200,000. Now, use place value patterns to complete the table. Okay, we got these. Solve questions 3, 4, 5, 6 by your own. Once you got your answer, unpause this video. Okay, we're back. Now, since that you unpause your video, let's get the answer to these questions. Now, let's do 3 first. 10 times as much as 50. 10 times as much as 50 is 500. Okay, let's do this one as well. 1/10 of 50 is 5. 10 times as much as 3,000. 10 times as much as 3,000 is 30,000. And finally, 1/10 of 3,000 is, you got it, 300. Now, 10 times as much as 400. 10 times as much as 400 is 4,000. And 1/10 of 400 is 40. And sixth, 10 times as much as 90 is 900. And 1/10 of 90 is 9. Complete the sentence with 100 or 1,000. Okay. Solve questions 7, 8, 9, 10 by yourself. Once you get your answer to the question, unpause the video, and I'll tell you the answer. You got the answer? Alright, let's finish this. Let's finish page 6. We got this. 200 is blank times as much as 2. Okay, that is 100. 200 is 100 times as much as 2. Okay, now 700,000 is how much times as much as 700? Is it 100 or 1,000? Well, you are correct. It's 1,000. Number 9. 4,000 is blank times as much as 4. Is it 100 or 1,000? Well, it is 1,000. Plus 4 times 1,000 is 4,000. And number 10. 600 it's blank times as much as 6. So that would be 6 times 100 is 600. That's your answer. These are your answers. Let me show this page one more time. So we got 101, 707, 90,900 for this table. Over here we got 50. Over here we got 200,000. In number 3 we got 505. Number 4 we got 30,300. Number 5 we got 4,040. And number 6 we got 909. And then for the hot examples we got 100, 1,000, 1,100. Now we're almost there. We have 1, 2, and then the homework practice. Okay, so Mark and Robin used base 10 blocks to show that 300 is 100 times as much as 3. Mark and Robin used base 10 blocks to show that 300 is 100 times as much as 3. Whose model makes sense? Okay. Who do you guys think? Whose model do you guys think makes sense? Is it Mark's or Robin's? Mark your answer down and tell me what you guys got. Comment down below. Do you think it's Mark's work correct or Robin's work? I'll give you 10 seconds to figure it out. And then if you need more time, pause the video, and once you finally got your answer, unpause. So did you get it? Did you get your answer? Well, what do you think the answer is? You are correct. The answer is... Okay, you're absolutely correct. Robin's work is correct, and I'll tell you why. So, let's fill this out, okay? Alright, so, Mark's work. It has 3 flats, and then it makes it to 3 longs. Well, excuse me. Robin's example is correct. Do you guys want to know why Robin's example is correct? Well, Mark's model does not make sense because the model shows 30 instead of 3, and the Mark's model shows the 300 is 10 times as much as 30, right? So the model shows 30 instead of 3. In his model, in Mark's model, technically, it shows that 300 is 10 times as much as 30. Oh, well. There's no much in mucha. It's no mucha, it's much. That is why Mark's example, his model, is incorrect. Okay. Now let me tell you why Robin's work is correct. Well, Robin's model makes sense because her model shows that 300 is 100 times as much as 3. I forgot to fill this out. So it converts from 300 into 30 over here. And then Robin's work, it goes from 300 to 3. So Robin's model makes sense. Her model shows that 300 is 100 times as much as 3. So if you got the answer correct, good job. Why? And now tell me one thing. Whoever chose Mark's model, why did you think that you got Mark's model and not Robin's? Because Robin's work is correct. Because 3 times 100 is 300, and if we do 30 times 100, that is not 300. That's 3,000. Okay. Now, how you would help Mark understand why he could have used small cubes instead of longs? Well, how would we tell him? We could say that flats are 10 times as much as longs and 100 times as much as what? Fill in the sentence. Flats are 10 times as much as longs and 100 times as much as. You are right. You're correct. As much as small cubes. Since small cubes represent 1 and 300 is 100 times as much as as 3, he should have used 3 small cubes in the model. 3 small cubes in the model. That's how we can tell them, Mark, that you should use small cubes instead of longs. Okay. Daily assessment task. We got this. Pause the video right now. Answer 13 and 14. You've solved answers 13 and 14? Well, here we go. Melinda has 500 pennies in a jar. Brenda has 10 times as many pennies as Melinda does. How many pennies does Brenda have? Melinda has 500 pennies in a jar. Okay, we got that. And Brenda has 10 times as many pennies as Melinda does. So, how many pennies does Brenda have? Comment down below which one of these answer choices do you think is right. Is it 50,000? Is it 5? Is it 5,000? Or is it 50? Okay, so Brenda has 10 times as much as pennies as Melinda. So we can do I'm trying to find my pencil. Okay. 500 pennies Melinda has. Not 506. That looks like a 6. It's not 6. It's a 500. And that's not a 9. And there we go. Okay. So 500. And Brenda has 10 times. So we can do 500 times 10 times 10 equals. So the answer to this is 5,000. So the answer should be C. C is your answer to number 13. I'm just gonna do that. Okay. So number 14. Which statement is true? 8,000 is 10 times as much as 80. 80 is 1/10 of 8. 800 is 10 times as much as 80. And 8 is 1/10 of 800. 8,000 is 10 times as much as 80. No, it's not 10 times. It's 100 times as much as 80. It should be 100 times as much as 80. because 80 times 100 is 8,000. Now, 80 is 1/10 of 8. No, 80 is 10 times as much as 8. Ten times as much as 8. It should be 10 times as much as 8. 800 is 10 times as much as 80. Yes. This could be the answer. But let's make sure D is not right either. 8 is 1/10 of 800. No. 8 is 1/100th of 800. So the answer to this question is also C. And now we have a multi-step problems. Multi-step problems usually involve using 2 steps instead of 1 step. Pause the video right now and try to answer number 15. Did you solve it? Alright, let's do this. Harry has a collection of comic books. He currently has 1,000 comic books. His friend George has 1/10 of the number of comic books that Harry does. And Mike has 1/10 of the comic books that George has. How many comic books does Mike have? Okay. So Harry, let's put his name. Harry has 1,000 comic books. And his friend George, capital G, has 1/10 the number of comic books Harry has. And Mike has 1/10, not 19, 1/10 the number books George has. So how would we solve this? If Harry has 1,000 comic books and George has 1/10 of the number of comic books that Harry has, we can do 1,000 divided by 10. And whatever the answer to this is, we will find out how much George has. So 1,000 divided by 10 is 100. So George has 100 comic books. And now that we know that George has 100 comic books, now we can figure out how much Mike has, which is the answer to what the question is asking us. How many comic books does Mike have? So, Mike has 1/10 of what George has, so 100 divided by 10. That equals 10. So, Mike, we're not trying to drag it. So Harry has 1,000, George has 100, and Mike has 10 comic books. So the answer to the question for number 15 is D. Letter D is your answer. So for 13 we got C, which is 5,000. 14 we got C, which is 800 is 10 times as much as 80. And 15, which is D, 10. Now Texas test prep. Sam has 1,300 dimes. Anna has 1/10 of the number of dimes that Sam does. How many dimes does Anna have? Okay. So how would you guys solve this question? Pause the video and try to answer this question. Okay, did you figure out this question? Well, I did too, and probably you guys as well. So let's figure this out. Sam has 1,300 dimes, right? And Anna has 1/10 of that. So, 1,300 divided by 10 is 130. So Sam has 1,300 dimes, and Anna has 130 dimes. So the answer to now. Okay, so now that we have finished all of these questions, all that is left is the homework practice. This is your homework for today. Solve these questions, and in my next video, in the beginning of the video, I'll tell the answer to these questions. So, thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!